Small issue. Something bad has happened. G'day. Today we are doing two jobs at once. One of those jobs is me going and reconfiguring a tower. So we're actually replacing one of the ones that Dad and I put in very early on. And that's to improve the link and just upgrade some of the equipment and the alignments on it. So I'm taking a new tower up to Gallipoli, and we're also running some panels, so yard panels, up to Bloodwood for mustering. So we're going to get those up there because there is significant amounts of water out and around that this year we are going to put the helicopter up. So we are getting ready for that. It's about a month away, and yeah, it'll be interesting. So we'll be able to show you guys the other way of mustering. And in amongst all of that, we've got some panels to recover, but that's going to be a different project altogether. All right, so just cruising along the road here, and well, it's hard not to notice it, but it's something that many of you around the world probably haven't seen before. Is one of our interesting plants that we have out here, and it sort of indicates that it's a fairly good year. And down here, we've got a Sturt Desert Pea. I really like them. You do see them out in this part of the country near the lake with a bit of this spinifex sand, but I've seen them on some rockier country near creeks. But it's good to see them, and yeah, it's around mid-August, which is typically when we'd see them after a good winter rain. So nice to see. So you can smell them. Hey, big fella. Come up.
Tim.
So that mob of camel, around 15 of them. The bull had his full bobble out. Means they're getting randy. Everything
Anyway.
Everything at the moment is getting like that. You see all the birds, they're getting all up and ready for spring, and these camels, they're ripe and ready to go to have another good breeding season because of the amount of water we got around. Well, I don't have a rifle, and Seaton has his rifle, but he didn't see him. But they might be around long enough to be turned into pet food. Okay, so here I am at Gallipoli Tower, or at least the base of it. And a little bit about why we called it Gallipoli was we'd done the modelling, we'd checked which hill we wanted to put the tower on for best access and service. And Dad and I got out here. We went, yep, cool, we'll get up onto this one. It's an easy spot to get to. We'll just walk along the ridge and then we'll put it on the spot we wanted. Well, we put it on the wrong hill. So it's 180 meters in the wrong position. It worked. Well, it does work, but it's just not exactly where I want it. So while we're going around and making sure that the network is very durable and robust, we are going to replace or relocate it. And many months ago, I put the track in over on that hill that we need. We've relocated the equipment over to this new point for Gallipoli 2, and we've had to tidy up a couple of trees that would obstruct us to the next point, which is just next to Lancelot. But we've also installed, thanks to having a chat to the guys at Landwatch, a air fibre unit here, which is going to give us a more stable, higher speed connection back to Courtney, which you can just about see, or you can see, just there. Now, we've gone and put it into the new box, much like we're going to the new standard. It's got a 100 amp hour battery here. We've got our charge controller, and then we've got a UISP switch, which is manageable through our UISP, so Ubiquity Internet Service Provider application, which means that we can remotely manage that, control the voltage, and switch units on and off as long as we've got the connection back home. Now, it's a pretty simple setup, and we were able to have a look at it and see that for the past couple of months, the consumption of power here, so running the local access, which is not working anymore, it's a micro tick, the power beam and the light AP has been around 330 watts, 330 watt hours per day, and it's been yielding exactly the right amount. The battery should give us 1400 watt hours. It's a 120 amp hour, 12.4 volt lithium. Someone else will tell me the maths the right way around, but that just gives you a good idea of the consumption. So once we've got the air fibre up and operating properly, because I've had a small issue with being able to log into it because we don't have the local access and it's playing silly games on Bluetooth, we'll be able to find out and calculate our full power usage and bit of history, which is good for anyone else wanting to do this. But if you wanted to get a off-the-shelf solution that works and is very reliable, have a chat to the guys at Landwatch, and there's a link to them in the description below. So Dad and I are going to cruise down now to Bullock will jump onto the local network and I'll see if I can do any of the configuration for the air fiber. I'm now at the other end of that connection, or well, where it will be. There is one at the moment. But I'm up on top of Mount Courtney. Now, this is one of my favourite repeater sites. It's just such an incredible view of the station. I really like doing any adjustments on this because you've got that little bit extra view and also a bit of the story about this tower itself and how it came to be. Now, this is one of the ones that Dad and I put in very early on, sort of demonstrating that you can do the link all the way up to the top end of the station. Originally, we carried up a couple of car batteries, the solar panel here, this is still just the way it was, and just an aluminium pole that we put into a whole pile of rocks that we collected up here, of which there's no shortage of. And we got our link in and link out. So that was stable and that was working pretty well. And just as we went along, we upgraded it. So when we initially did this, we had no track anywhere near this hill. We just drove out with the shooting rig and carried the parts up here, and it took us a fair slog. It was a lot of work, but it was definitely worth it. We upgraded a little bit. I've made this tower here, which is pulled down by 4 Waratahs that they're banged into the ground, and then it's strained up to the right tension to be able to get our balance right. This is made out of a couple of drill rods that are connected together. I've got my inbuilt ladder, and I made a tilt-up base here, and that's whacked into the ground with a couple of pickets. Then we've got our solar panel still on there. It's working. I'd like to put a new sort of frame in here. We might get there, but there is still no track all the way to the top of it. You've got around 50 meters or 60 meters of no track that you have to get up to get on top. So you still need to do a little bit of slogging. Nothing wrong with that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so while I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the air fiber unit up here, and I'm going to get it and establish the link to Gallipoli. Now I've still got the 5 gigahertz, the little 5 gigahertz unit there, the power beam connected up to there, but I'm going to use that so I can change any configuration settings on the other end before I disable that one. I'll then realign the point to point. So the dish that is transmitting to the north is then going to turn around and transmit down southeast of here towards the hills which are in between these trees, so just over there. And that is Elizabeth and Dora. Now, Dad and Seaton are going along now, dropping out a couple of final point units at Wellsprings, Cricket and Midnight. Then they're going to drive to the top up there where we've already got a track. We're going to put the new tower in there, and hopefully this afternoon I will have it at least established on the network, the solar going to charge the batteries, and then we will be able to keep doing the rollout, because eventually, and I can see it from here, but you've got Elizabeth and Dora over there, and then straight through here over this dead tree you've got a little bit of a ridge you can pick just there. That's Catherine. Now out at Catherine we're going to be putting another tower, except it's going to be quite tall. It's going to need to be 17 meters, I believe, 15 or 17. I'll double check when I get there. But while I could shoot signal from here straight across, it's 32.2 kilometers. Now I'd need to use air fiber for that, or I go across to Elizabeth and Dora, and then from Elizabeth and Dora over to Catherine, it's only 25 kilometers. Now, that means I can still use my power beams, which have been doing pretty well for the 28.8 kilometers up to Gallipoli. Then we've got another tower to put in up on that ridge line over there. And that's going to be called the North Mountain. That one will need to be reasonably tall, and I will work out what way I'm going to link that into this network, potentially even just another shot from here. But we want to make sure that we don't crowd our frequencies. And at some point, I might loop it all in together so that there's fail safes all the way around, that if one tower goes down, the others are all good, but we'll get there. Right, time to get some rigging going. So I've now got the big old air fiber up there, and that's linked up. I've rotated the antenna around to shoot over to Elizabeth and Dora, and powered everything back up. So I'm good to run some tape around and then get out of here and get to the next spot. So I'm gonna run some tape, make sure everything's all nice. Connection's pretty wicked, like it's a few hundred meg per second each way there. So that's a little bit overkill, but it's good. Yeah, just receiving you. Okay, so I got over here last night, but it was too late to really get everything set up. So this morning came out, and I've now set this tower here up. What it has is a power beam coming in. That's actually the lowest one, and that goes over to Courtney. Now from the ground you can't see Courtney. From up there you've got a very, very clear shot. The power beam that is right up the top, sitting at about 7 meters, is pointing out towards Catherine, and then I've got 2 light AP GPS units, which will provide coverage for just 2 water points, but they were second hand, so it kind of justifies using them. It also means that the accuracy doesn't have to be right up there when we're down at the water points, and we can use different access point units. So this one is a little bit different to most of my other setups. It has got a 300 watt panel, but it's got a smaller charge controller, a 7515, which is what we use out at our final points. But that can't handle 300 watts charging 12 volts. What it can do is it can handle that 300 watt coming in and charging 24. We are bringing our solar in, and we are set up to 24 volts on these 2 50 amp hour batteries. That means that all of our final points have also got this 50 amp hour battery, but this one is running 24. Then, because this is only running a switch, which needs 24 volts, it's running neat from the charge controller on the load side into the edge switch, and then that is running just an old UAP that I've got there and everything else. Now, yeah, running these out at our final points, like doubling them up, running them at 24 volts and charging off a larger panel would probably be quite economic, because these are just second-hand panels off residential. All right, a little bit of a delay. I flying my drone around, having a look at some interesting stuff here, and I was on my way home with it. Small issue. Something bad has happened. She's taken a strike somewhere on the other side of this hill, and she's downed. So I've got my gear, and I'm just going to walk the little distances over to where it's crashed. So that's a little annoying, a bit frustrating. Sorry, Jasmine. I'll see what we can recover. All right, just to cover a bit of the distance, I did a bit of a jog. Now the app has started responding. We now are on. So let's hope it cancel its return to home. Yeah, a little bit of a steep hill on this side. That's the one we're flying over just before. I've got 200 meters to go, but that 200 meters could be somewhat spectacular to go down, because you end up with cliffs like that. So I might cruise around the other side. So it's indicating it was on the flight path, so I know the path is between that hill and that one. So across the path should be somewhere around here. Maybe what happened is it just got a whole lot of flies in the motor, and that's what caused the incident. There we are. You've had a bad day. Yep. Oh, back end's all busted out. Stuffed as well. Well, that sucks. So I can't help but be a bit disappointed in this DJI drone. That's a Mavic Pro, one of the earlier models. I've used it in the past, for filming some stuff around the station before we had the YouTube channel. Tried it out for a little bit of stuff around the station, inspecting our towers, just like that. But it's the second time it's done an error kind of like that, where it appears to just be like prop striking itself and then it comes tumbling down. Now this one had a bit of a harder landing because it was onto rougher rocks, but yeah, it's been twice now that it's done that, and I am pretty disappointed. A lot of people do want us to do a lot more like drone footage and footage around some of the hills just like this, give you a good idea of the scenery, a little bit like flying and stuff. But when I've had a run with drones like that, it's a little hard to justify buying another one. But I can see the value that it has for a lot of people to have that extra view, and I would really like it to be able to do, to follow me a lot more smoothly. But quite often when we're running the drone and we're doing work, we almost need someone just dedicated to focusing on the drone and managing that, which becomes quite a task. But that said, when it comes to the camels and stuff, well, like we saw when I had a chat with Luke, who's from Skykelpie, who started that up, that we can use drones to muster animals. So it would be quite cool to try it out and effectively use it to push the camels into a kill box or into a set of yards or somewhere where we can actually capture them live and work with them. That would require a reasonable amount of investment and time to go into it, and naturally a drone that's a little bit more capable, longer flight time, that sort of thing, than this little Mavic is. But the camels don't make the money. They're not where it's at. So the drone for now is a recreational item that I don't see myself replacing anytime soon, because it is getting pretty expensive to keep getting it fixed. But that's how it goes. Well, I hope some of that footage is good. Yeah.